Federal funding is on its way to Washington after President Trump approved FEMA support in the wake of the historic flooding, uprooting entire communities. At the same time, the nearly 300,000 people who bought health care plans through Washington's health exchange last year stand to see their premiums shoot up by as much as 21%. That's thanks to House Republicans bailing on a plan to bring a floor vote to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. Joining us to discuss, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, representing Washington's 7th District. Thanks for being with us, Congresswoman.
Always good to see you, Joyce.
You as well. I want to start with the catastrophic damage from this week's flooding. Are you satisfied with the speed and the scale of the federal disaster response so far?
Well, we appreciate that the administration approved the disaster declaration, and so we're looking to try and get as much help in as quickly as possible. The governor's been doing a great job, but we get an update from the governor's office every day on what's happening in the district, what's happening across the state. We know that 100,000 people have lost power across the state. Our district, my district, has been somewhat protected. Most of the, all of the flooding that we've seen really has been happening outside of the 7th congressional district. That said, we have a lot of constituents who have family across the state and are worried. And so we're trying to do as much as we can to keep our constituents quickly apprised of what's happening and always calling in to make sure that they're getting the latest.
And now let's turn to rising health care costs. After the House vote not to extend those ACA subsidies, what's going to be the immediate impact for Washington families already facing some high insurance premiums?
Well, Joyce, thanks to the Republicans not extending these tax credits, what is going to happen is Washingtonians are going to see their healthcare premiums double and triple. And I'm already hearing from many of my constituents who are saying they're just choosing not to get health insurance. So this is going to be catastrophic for so many people who are going to go without health insurance, so many people who can't afford the health insurance, who are going to be underinsured in different ways. And for the rest of the marketplace, if people drop out, it's going to raise premiums for everyone. It's going to raise costs for everyone because the emergency room is going to become the key place where people go to get their care. So this is a terrible situation for Washingtonians, for people across the country. And Democrats filed what's called a discharge petition on a bill to extend the ACA subsidies for 3 years. And every single Democrat signed, so that was 214 people. We actually got 4 Republicans to sign that discharge petition, bringing it to the magic number of 218. In previous Congresses, if a discharge petition got to 218, the Speaker immediately respected the will of the body and brought the bill to the floor. That means that Mike Johnson should be bringing that bill to the floor tomorrow for a vote. It would pass in the House. But instead, he's waiting for the technical language of he can choose to wait for 7 legislative days before bringing a discharge petition. That's what he's going to do. So this vote is now going to be delayed until right after we come back in January. We still have a chance at that point to save Americans' health care, make sure that they don't get kicked off, make sure that they don't see their premiums double and triple. Mike Johnson should really bring that bill to the floor tomorrow, Joyce. It would pass.
We're going to watch that closely because the fact that you're saying there's even still a chance after the holidays is going to give a lot of people some hope. Trump's DOJ has just over 48 hours now to release the Epstein files, something that the victims and people on both sides of the aisle have waited years for. What should we expect?
Well, let's see. It took everything, public pressure, the victims coming out, the survivors' courageous testimony, a few Republicans, again, signing a discharge petition, getting us to that magic 218 number. That's the time when Mike Johnson finally was pushed into bringing this to the floor. I am not sure, Joyce, if we're going to see all the files. I'm not sure if we're going to see a lot of redactions. So I would just say to people, let's keep our eyes on this. Let's be very clear that the DOJ is required to release everything to us. That's what it said. And they cannot have redactions just to protect the identities of some of the people that were involved in this horrific scandal. And so we're monitoring that. At the same time, Joyce, we had subpoenaed through the Oversight Committee. Democrats on the Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Epstein estate. So we are still getting materials from the Epstein estate, including bank records. So we're going to follow the money. We are going to get to the bottom of this for the American people. The survivors deserve it, and the American people deserve it.
We'll be watching for the next 48 hours to see what happens. I have one more question for you before we're out of time. As you know, Republican Representative Dan Newhouse announced today he's going to not seek re-election in 2026. How do you interpret that decision, and do you see it as a sign maybe of shifting dynamics within the Republican Party?
Well, I'm sorry to see Dan go. I put out a statement. We've worked together on Path to Citizenship for farm workers. We worked together on making Mopop a national museum, getting a national designation. And I think he's an honorable man who voted to impeach Trump, which was very important to saving our democracy. He survived after that. But I do think that for a lot of people who are reasonable Republicans, the path in Congress is very difficult. They're not allowed to vote their conscience. I'm not speaking for Dan. I don't know that those are the reasons he's getting out. But I've seen it with a lot of other Republicans that I've worked with. And it's unfortunate because, we're losing the Republicans who are willing to tackle tough issues, work across the aisle, and get things done. I'm going to miss him. And I think he's done great service for his district and for the country.
Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, we so appreciate you taking the time to spend with us tonight. Thank you so much, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Joyce.